Let's face it, as Nintendo fans, we are often left slightly disappointed and scratching our heads asking why. Where is our Super Mario Galaxy 3? Why isn't Metroid out yet? Bring back the Ice Climber, seriously, and what were you thinking with the Virtual Boy? Well, sit back as Sean Capri and Bobby Pauls do just that. That's right, this is If We Ran Nintendo. Now, cue the music, maestro.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 57 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all of podcasting, Sean Capri. What is up, Sean?
Bobby, I'm so tired. I had a baby.
No.
What am I...
Your wife had a baby. You.
I changed the diapers.
Yeah, that's.
But I'm really good at it. I gotta say, I'm getting. Good. Well, actually, I'm not that great at it.
That's not something to be proud of.
No,
I don't think you want to put that on a resume.
I might actually,
unless you're working at a hospital.
That's true, but I don't want to be doing that. That's a whole other messy story. Good to see you, Bobby.
You too. And Sean, we have a special guest today.
We do.
We have Amiibo Jason. Of course, the problem is this. I don't have that epic voice that Jason uses in like his videos and his podcasts, like from Smash. So this is going to be kind of like, whatever, low brow for him. And so if he bounces out, you know why. He's like, they didn't introduce me properly. I'm out of here.
What is this?
Yeah. Jason, how you doing?
By the way, I do think you should put it on your resume for changing diapers. I know what it's like. It's a skill that I think every guy needs, so good on you.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The thing is that it's too late to impress anybody with it. Like by the time you're changing diapers, you're locked in a relationship. Like you're not impressing anybody new with that skill. But
that's
what
true.
Can you do? Maybe
it's a good skill to get
beforehand.
rid of too, because once in 3 years, once that's gone, you never have to do it again. It's a great thing that it's great if you're good at it, but it's even better to not have to do it again.
I think that I will forget most of my baby handling skills if my parents are any indication. Like the way my dad holds a baby is like he had 4 kids, but it's like he's never held one before. Yeah. Like he's like, this is soothing, and he's kind of holding my niece like upside down. It's
one
so
leg.
Weird.
That's the thing. If you were like if your dad or my dad or Jason put on their resume that they were skilled baby diaper changers, it might mean something. But in this day and age, all guys do it. So it's not like you're impressing anybody.
Thanks, Bobby, for always keeping me humble.
I got your back, though. I got your back still.
Nope, I shouldn't let my ego get too high with any single thing. So thank you, Bobby. You're always keeping me grounded.
I'm sorry.
And my head
I'm sorry.
From swelling. Usually I just need my hat to keep my head from swelling, but you're right there with me. Thanks, Bobby.
And you got your Oilers hat? How your boys doing? I'm not even paying attention.
Boys are doing great.
Are they?
They're killing all the teams in California. We're up 2-0 against the Ducks. We're going duck hunting. Everybody's talking about, duck hunt and ducks landing in oil. I don't know if you guys know about this, but like we've got a whole bunch of oil sands up in Alberta, and like they kill ducks all the time. So we're just leaning into that analogy. It's awful. Wow. It really is awful. It really is terrible.
Wow.
But the hockey team is doing great. Thank you for asking.
That's good. Let's kick this episode off like we do each and every episode with our shout-outs.
With our geek-outs.
No. So, I gotta give a quick shout-out to Ryan Black of the Nintendo Nostalgia Podcast. He listened to our last podcast, right? And and I was talking about how I don't know whether it was this one or the Geekcast. Who knows? I get them confused sometimes, but I was talking about how I can't play first-person shooter games because they make me nauseous. Mm-hmm. He sent me a pair of C-bands, the bands you wear to keep you from getting nauseous, because that's what his wife uses when she plays first-person shooters.
And it works?
Yes. That's what he said. He said, try it. So I said,
you need to video that. We need to see you, like, don't even prepare anything, like, stream something.
Just jump
in. What
would
would you play? What have you
I would probably play Metroid Prime.
There you go.
Because I never played them, and I've always wanted to. I'm a big fan of Metroid, but I could never touch that series.
We should do like a before and after like infomercial, like with you before you try it on, and you're just sick. It's all black and white, and it's awful, and you're just having a terrible time. Then you put the thing on, and everything's color, and everything's great.
Get out of here. And then I want to give another quick shout out to Antonio Guillen. who yesterday he sends me a video. It's an intro to my YouTube videos. It's totally animated, not animated, but it's like it's really good. It's got music. It's got all these like retro Nintendo games in it and stuff. Like really knocked it out the park, man. I dude just messaged me one day. It was like, "You mind if I do something?" I'm like, "Yeah, knock yourself out." And I'm thinking like, I don't know, what can he do? You know, whatever. Because you get that message sometimes, and then you don't really ever see anything come out of it. And then he did, and I was like, holy crap, dude, I was blown away. I messaged Sean, I'm like, you got to look at this, check this out. I showed my wife, and my wife was like, oh my God. She's like, why don't my watchers ever do this stuff for me? And I'm like, I don't know. They don't like you, I don't know. So
I love it. So where are you going to use this thing?
I'm going to actually, because if you watch my videos, typically, I do like a little intro. Mm-hmm. Like, today we're going to talk about blah, 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 whatever, and then it bounces out and it goes to the thumbnail I typically use, and I play some music behind it. So I'm going to use it there. I'm just going to pop it right in there, and then it'll go there, and then I'll go into my video afterwards. So, what about you guys? You guys got any shout-outs you want to hit on? Or
I can let you go first, Sean.
Well, mine is weird. Mine is weird because we recorded, so we're going to pull the curtain back and let everybody in. We recorded an episode yesterday, and I got my timeline mixed up. I did all my shout-outs that are relevant for, like, right now. I did them yesterday, so people won't hear them until next week.
I did, too.
But and same with Bobby. Like, we just did this amazing Mario Kart 8 tournament, and we sort of reached out to a whole bunch of other... We're calling them like indie podcasters, and there's this network of us who all have like kind of small time, but it's our passion projects, and we just reached out to a whole bunch. We had a massive Mario Kart 8 tournament, so we did a whole bunch of shout outs, and I'll just sort of like reiterate today. Like Antonio Guillen helped out with promotional materials, and Jason Lacey from Flex the Post helped getting our Discord thing ready. And Josh Stapleton helped just reach out to a bunch of these podcasters, and Donnie Reese from Play Some Video Games set the whole damn thing up. Like it was. It was so awesome. There's way too many people to name, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out. You're going to get a better one next week.
Yeah.
So if you guys think that this is all right.
The one thing we will say, though, is the coolest thing about it was, and I'll reiterate what you'll hear next week, but whatever. But the cool thing is, like, we've all kind of been a part of Mario Kart tournaments. And I've had ones where the max I've gotten was 2 rooms going at once. Which is cool. It's awesome for just to be able to throw it up there and have that happen, and it's just amazing. I was literally Friday night bouncing out of games on purpose to go back in to see, just to get a feel of how big this is. And every single time I went in, it was new people I was playing with. And it was just, I think I did it like 7 times. And every time I went in, there was another group of people. And the rooms were packed. That's awesome. It was amazing, man. We had about 20 different podcasters, all promote it, all push it. And, you know, it was funny because I said this as well. But it's kind of funny is I was sitting there and I was doing a Grand Prix prior to actually jumping into the tournament, and my wife started playing, and she jumps in and she's in Sean's room, and I look and I'm like, oh my God, there's Josh Stapleton, there's Josh Brandt from Life of Gaming, and there's this one, like all these different podcasters are all in this one room. I'm like, I want to get in that room, but I was like, the room was packed, and I was like, I can't. And I went over to another one, and then there's another great group of people. I was like, it is amazing. So, Jason, what do you
tournament.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was awesome. What do you who's you shouting out there, Jason?
So right now, I definitely the entire Nintendo Wire team. It has been hectic since the Switch launched, and my team has been like on top of everything, and it's amazing. We have been doing news now pretty much because we have people in the UK, we have people in Japan who are helping us on the team at the moment. So we have news going up 24/7 at this point, and it's pretty insane. I cannot do it without the amazing Lauren Moosney. Happily Candied. Our editing team is absolutely outstanding. Our writers are phenomenal. You mentioned the voice that kind of intros us into our podcast. That is the voice of Jared Rutledge. He is outstanding. The guy is the man of a million voices. He's going to E3 with us this year, so it's going to be amazing to see him. And honestly, I would say the last shout out for today would be to Kat Moosney. That's Lauren Moosney's sister. Okay. She helps us with a lot of our live streams. She has a YouTube channel called Kat Moosney Fitness. Nice. If you are looking to like work out in a geeky way, she has such a cool channel to do that. She's like Pokemon workouts.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah. Awesome. So she's trained me.
Just throwing balls around?
It's a little bit more complicated.
Going through the tall grass.
It's similar. But I remember she took me to her gym to train me, and I was out of commission for 2 days after that session. Like, this girl is something else. So if you're looking for really cool fitness stuff, that's the place to go. It's Kat Musni Fitness, Musni.
That sounds awesome.
That's awesome.
By the way, that was like an Oscar speech. Like, you're just like, what the hell? You're coming in
And I'm
here,
out.
like, doing amazing shout outs. Like, that was.
Lay me off.
So I got to tell you,
Like, if only I prepared something. You pulled up this scroll of people.
The one thing I got to say, Sean, is this. There's not... We have guests on a lot, right? Not a lot, but I've had a lot of guests in my 2 years of doing stuff. This show, we don't really bring on guests that much. It's more the Geekcast where I'm bringing on guests every single week and stuff. But it's rare that I kind of am super impressed by the guest. And...
Oh, and now you're just shitting all over all the guests.
No. I don't mean that. I mean, like, in terms of, like, admire what they've done, where they've come from, things like that.
Yeah,
like,
man.
I watched Jason start off with the whole Amiibo thing. And, you know, it was just amazing to watch this progression take off. And started with Amiibo, and it was like just as Amiibo started to flounder, he just pivots. Just completely pivots and moves the whole thing, and it's taking it to this huge thing where you got this huge team and all this stuff, and it's like I'm amazed. It's really awesome. I'm impressed, man. You guys,
there's so much cool content out there, and your content is amazing too. Honestly, the big thing that we wanted to do, and the reason why we pivoted, is we wanted to make a site that was gorgeous. So it's one of the reasons why we teamed up with Seth Hay. And if you are a member of like this community, Seth has done so much for our site. And the reason why is we said we would never set up a site unless we could do so in a way that was gorgeous. And Seth has been helping us do that. And we're hoping that it's just kind of the start from right now. So it's grown to a level we never thought imaginable in this time frame. Which is why I think there's been a lot of sleepless nights lately. So it's honestly the team effort is definitely there. So I could not have done it without the team and Seth, and like I said, obviously Lauren's been here since the beginning too.
But my
so cool.
So I got my question is so what made you start the whole Amiibo thing? Like,
oh God, this is a good story.
Because you started the Twitter thing, and it was just like my wife was following you to find out like when stuff was going up, and that's how I found out about you guys. I had no clue. You know what I mean? Like, I was not really following Twitter things. And then my wife was like, I follow these guys and they're just amazing and you got to check it out. I'm like, okay. And then literally we were planning hunts based around what you guys were talking about. So it was huge, you know, and that was a huge time for me because I was kicking my YouTube channel off the Geek Guru at the time. And I was utilizing a lot of stuff you guys were doing. But how did you guys get that kicked off and going?
So it was me to start with for the first year. Like the busiest time, it was actually just me. And I got bored one day, and I'm like, when they announced Amiibo, I was like blown away. I'm like, this is the representation of everything I love. It is video games, and it's a little statue that I can collect. It's like the best possible like combination of things I could possibly imagine. So I freaked out, and about a week later, I went to Twitter. I didn't even have a Twitter account that I even used at that point. I was never using Twitter. And I'm like, I wonder if Amiibo News is taken. So I found out it wasn't. I took it and I just started tweeting. At that point, it was like news that I found. And then I realized people wanted in-stock alerts. And then at that point, at least I knew how to set up like alerts that would tell me when something goes in stock. And that's when the following started coming. And that's when the sleepless nights started coming. At the very beginning, I had alarms going off at like 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. And I have like, at that point, a 1.5-year-old.
Oh my God.
So I'm doing my best to like make sure I'm not waking her up, and I'm like running into the other room and like getting in-stock alerts out. And then at that point, it got to the point where it was getting too big for just a Twitter account. And I learned how to set up a website, and it kind of all went from there. So it just started with me kind of being bored one day and kind of escalated from there. But trust me, it was doing in-stock alerts. People started to blame me when things were out of stock instantly. And the big one was I missed Greninja. Greninja went up at Toys R Us at 2 a.m. And Toys R Us said, hey, this is going to go up at 5 a.m. So I had my alarm set for like 4:15 just in case. And I woke up to find it was sold out. and people like, where were you, Amiibo News?
I know. That's
like,
the
it
one,
was...
Yeah, that was the one that was brutal. That was Wait For, and that was the one where I was like, I'm done. I wasn't done. That was a total lie. It was one of my lies. But I meant, like, I was done the hunt. I was like, I can't do this no more. I'm taking off of work. I'm waking up at 4 o'clock. I'm trying to pre-order everything. That was the whole GameStop crash. You know, all that stuff. That. And I was like, I'm done. And I started importing from Japan. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm like, the money I'm spending, sitting out in front and calling out of work and all this, I mean, I'm done. And then, like, it started to get easy, and now it's kind of back to being hard again, but whatever.
That was the best time for me.
Yeah.
I met so many people just waiting. There's people that I saw in line consistently that I still, like, hang out with now.
Yeah, me too.
The hunt was the coolest possible thing for me. And the fact that Amiibo are getting to that point again, it kind of stinks to a certain level, but it's still kind of fun, like, waking up early on an Amiibo release day.
Yeah.
Going to the store and not knowing if I'm going to get it.
I know.
Even just thinking about it, I just can't handle it.
There's a thrill to it.
There was.
I remember when a wave came out, and I went to Toys R Us, and there was nobody in line, and there was tables just full of them. And I'm like, well, this is boring.
Yeah.
Like, just grab it, walk out. I mean, it's just, to me, it was missing, like, that allure that I had the entire time when I was hunting Amiibo to begin with. But I'm curious to see what Nintendo's going to be doing with these, like, Player 2 Amiibo that are coming out, like the Cloud, Corn, Bayonetta. I am expecting to see lines again.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm concerned because it's like it's going to be 3 different stores.
Yeah, I know. Which one do you choose?
So yeah, what do I do?
Dude, it's Wave 4 all over again. Wave 4 was you had 4 stores that were all getting exclusives. So I basically ordered as much as I could pre-ordered, and then I knew I had to go to Target, and then I had to go to Toys R Us afterwards. So I needed Greninja and I needed Jigglypuff. Yeah. And they both were one was at Target and one was at Toys R Us. And I had my buddy who just needed Greninja and he went to Toys R Us, but we didn't realize there was going to be a bunch of them that time. Yeah. We thought it was going to be like it was. Yeah, nobody knew. But the funny thing is Rosalina, like, going back real quick, that's where I met all my friends that I hang out with to this day. I remember standing in line at Rosalina. I was the first one in line. I went at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm standing there. It's cold as hell. It's February, right? It's like February 20th. I'm standing out there. I'm freezing to death. And the manager walks out. There's a line of like 30 of us or something like that. And the manager walks out and he goes, what are you guys here for? And we're like, Amiibo, Rosalina. And they're like, they had this blank stare at us. And I'm like, oh, dude, are we, like, because you didn't know when they were really going to release. It was all going off of rumors and stuff. Yeah. So the next thing I know, he comes back out and goes, we only have a few. And I'm like, and that was even before they would, like, take tickets or anything. And they were like, you have to walk to the back of the store. And I'm like, dude, I turned back and there was a couple people. I was like, if anybody runs and tries to pass me, I'm hip checking them right into the clothes department. Like, don't even try it. And so it was good. Everybody walked back single file line. Everybody got one. It was cool. It was good times. But
you guys are lucky, I'm in Wisconsin.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
We had a blizzard for Rosalina. I was the only person in line that showed up. So I was the only person at Target. The guy actually told me, I'm like, can I get 2? He's like, you can have. I ended up getting 3 Rosalinas. I got one for a giveaway. I have one for in-box collecting and one for out-of-box collecting because I'm a madman like that.
Yes.
But the guy's like, do you just want to buy them all? And I'm like, if I did that in like the community found out about that, I would be murdered.
Even 3.
Yeah.
Even buying 3.
And 3 was hard.
Yeah.
But I drove with a rear-wheel drive Kia through a blizzard to get that. So I was fine with 3 at that point.
Yeah.
We have a blizzard year round. It doesn't matter if these things are coming out in the summertime. We got, and that's the other thing too. Like, I feel like you guys are lucky because, well, America is the center of the universe. So whenever news comes out, like, it's focused on your retailers. Like, we have a really hard time figuring out which one of these are going to be exclusive to which retailers. Like, there's not always a direct correlation. Yeah. Target failed here. Like, Target came and went. So we no longer have those exclusives that carry over. So now that I think about it, maybe if I'm up at 1 a.m. anyways with dirty diapers, I might as well be sending out Canadian stock notifications.
We have Amiibo News Canada.
Well, then thank you for telling me, because I'm just going to go ahead and subscribe right now.
We should talk about this later. We need people on that team.
There you go.
We just found out recently that Best Buy is getting exclusive. I think it was Majora's Mask Link, and they're getting Bayonetta Player 2. Oh. Somebody found it in the Best Buy Canada computer system.
That's awesome.
That's something.
I need that in my life, because I try to translate, and it's like, if it's not the same, then I don't really dig too much further, because I just don't even know where to look. But I want to know. I need to know, Jason.
Yeah.
We'll talk later.
We'll talk. Yeah. Call my agent. We'll do lunch.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
So, if we ran Nintendo, my question is, would we have launched the 2DS XL? It's a curious question, because a lot of people are
the immediate period launch it.
Yeah, like what would we have done with it? Because the crazy thing is, like, you watch immediately, the first knee-jerk reaction, everybody's calling Nintendo idiots. It's why we started this podcast, more or less, so we can actually debate it out and talk about it. But the knee-jerk reaction was like, who needs this? Why is it done? And this and that and the other. I feel I'm both sides. One part of me is like, yes, and the other part's like, no. I'm torn. So I wanted to kind of throw it at you guys to see what you thought, and then see if we can roll off of that. Why I think it shouldn't have been done is I feel like it eats into the Switch, and I feel like that's where their focus should be. But then why I think they should have done it is I feel like there is a market for it. I feel like it's a starting point. It's an easy step in for the people that have been kind of left Nintendo for a while, or if someone's trying to get into Nintendo and they can't find a Switch, like it's another step in. It is a little bit cheaper than a 3DS, and research shows people don't use the 3D in the 3DS. Like, you may use it a little bit, you might have one or two people that actually use it all the time, but majority of people turn it on for a couple seconds and then shut it off and then leave it off, and as I'm saying that, Jason's probably the one guy that's like, no, I use it all the time.
I love 3D. I love it. I think it's amazing.
It is amazing. It's just, I got so trained because of the first 3DS, where I would have headaches because if you turned it a little bit, it'd get all wonky on you. This one's much better. The newer 3DS is much better. But, okay, so Jason, we'll start with you. What's your take with the new 2DS XL?
All right, so I'm a handheld collector, and as I'm talking, I'm going to just start taking these out.
This is my man.
He's
yes,
Bobby. He's as bad as us
for the time being.
That's what I'm talking about. I feel
we have
much
more.
better.
Yeah.
How many more? We have more. I better stop. I love the 3DS. I think the 3DS is my favorite Nintendo console that has ever been released for many reasons. Number one, the special editions. They make it so I can be a Zelda fan and show it off pretty much anytime I want to. Yeah. I absolutely love it. Yeah. I'm blown away with the library for it.
Yeah.
I'm blown away with the portability aspect of it. Even the XL is great. Yeah. I think it feels great. I just moved over to the standard new 3DS, like the standard size. The cover plates, oh my God. Don't get me started on the cover plates. Because now I'm collecting those, and I can't collect anything else. I'm not allowed. I should not be able to. So I think the 3DS is a fantastic piece of hardware. And you're right, a lot of people were not using the 3D. I was in the minority. Anytime a good 3D game came out, like Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, it looked gorgeous in 3D. I thought it looked great. But I get that I'm in the minority with that, and not a lot of people use it. Mm-hmm. I think the reason why it's good that Nintendo did this, they're getting people used to the idea that 3D is in the past. Yeah. So their new piece of sleek hardware is, no 3D. It's, a straight 2D, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And it has all the features of the 3DS. And you have that back library. You have all of those amazing games. You have Pokemon. You have Zelda. I mean, obviously you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games that are still absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And you need something cool to play it on. So I think this is going to bring people into that as well. People that said, I don't want a 3D system. I don't want something that's going to be $200. Yeah. And I don't want to get a 2DS because it looks like it's a kid's toy. Yeah. This is sleek, it's stylish, and it's in my opinion, it's a good price. Yeah. So I think Nintendo's smart to do it. there's a lot of good stuff still coming, I think, for the 3DS or the 2DS, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And I think really that back catalog is really going to get people into it. I think Nintendo's kind of back on the map with the Switch. It's selling out instantly. It's on the news all the time. So I think it's going to get people that have never got anything with Nintendo to say, you know what, I want to play Mario Kart. I don't want to buy a Switch. I can get Mario Kart 7 and I can play it on this amazing 2DS. Yeah. So I think it's great. I'm picking one up pretty much instantly. Yeah. And now we know they're doing special editions because Japan's getting the Dragon Quest one.
Yes.
That's so cool, by the way. I mean, it bubbles up.
Yeah, it is awesome.
So I'm ecstatic for this thing. Yeah. And if Nintendo was doing something stupid, I'm not the fanboy that would just say, you know, oh, that's fine, because I call them out all the time. I think it's great, personally.
Sean, where do you lay in all this?
I'm along the same. I'm on the positive side. I don't know that I'm quite that positive because I'm a mess, Bobby. You know, my brain doesn't really know how to comprehend most things. I overanalyze and I overcomplicate things and I second guess myself constantly. So I look at this thing and I'm like, my brain says no, but my heart says yes, please. I want all of them. Like I look at them and think, I'm surprised that they didn't make it this form factor to begin with. Like the doorstop form factor is kind of weird. Yeah. But this is smart on so many levels. I think the main thing really is the price point. The people are clamoring for Nintendo now more than ever. Yeah. You mentioned the back catalog. It extends even more to the regular DS. That's something that they can really lean on as well. Like we often forget that those cards work in this. And I think that people are walking into GameStops and Walmarts and things ready to buy a Nintendo something. Like there's so many people, like for us, we go like, we know exactly what we want. We're going to go in the store. We're going to go get it. But there's so many people like just to have a Nintendo is still a thing for like all the stupid grandparents out there who buy the wrong system. Like that's a huge market out there. Yeah. So I think this is smart for that level. I think it indicates that there is more to come in the 3DS family in terms of games. I'm looking at a list here and it's okay. But this is more of a symbol, I think, for Nintendo for what to expect from them rather than anything really pivotal and really that important. It's more just like a figurehead kind of thing. So I'm glad. I probably will end up getting one just because I've got like, even just if people really look at the background, they can probably see like 5 or 6 different ones here, and that's not even all of them. So I tend to collect these things. I like that they've got a low cost entry point for people who want something. And I think the biggest thing is for parents who want to play their Switch, but they think it's maybe a little too delicate for the kids. This is this is something perfect for them to go like, you can play Mario Kart as well. Just don't touch my Switch.
Yeah.
Amen.
And
so you got the parental guidance going on right now. It's like it's hitting you already. Like, don't touch my
That's
Switch.
A good sign, right? Yeah, if it starts with video games, then that's probably smart. I'm gonna have to make this room like hands off though, because it goes far too low. So as soon as he starts running around, he can't. No. He's gonna start opening. He knows his way of rebelling against his father is gonna be start opening up all the amiibos. That'll be the start for our.
Let me give you a story real quick. I want to give you a quick story. My dad used to coach baseball teams. At the end of every season, he used to have all the players sign a baseball. So I was a kid. I played baseball every day, and I ran out of baseballs. And one day I went out and grabbed my dad's baseballs and started hitting them around the yard. And I just put it back
Sandlot.
and I just put it back on the shelf like nothing ever happened. And then like a month or two goes and he goes, "Why are my baseballs all beat up?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "You were using them, weren't you?" I'm like, "No." I got smashed. He whipped my butt and like I was like he put them higher up. I couldn't touch them anymore. I was like, "Oh God."
I like that idea because like you never know which one of those kids is gonna grow up to be the next Baby Ruth.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth.
So let's take it a step further then.
All right.
Because I think we're all in agreement that we would do this.
And we're all buying one? Is that
I'm buying
like
one.
Are we buying all of them?
Honestly,
I'm buying it and I'm importing that Dragon Quest one.
Me too. I want all 3. Honestly, if they do a red and black one, I'd get that too.
It comes out on my birthday.
That's how they get you.
I know. The orange. My favorite color is orange. So the orange and the white are just. It's awesome. I love the blue
and creamsicle.
Oh my God, it's amazing, man! But that Dragon Quest one, I was like, oh. And I've always wanted to import a 3DS from Japan. I don't know why. Yeah. I can't read Japanese. I've always wanted to do it though, and I'm like, this is the reason. Here you go. I'm gonna get it. So I think the idea now is, because this thing launches in the summertime.
On my
July
birthday,
28th.
And I think that's why.
That's a sign.
It is a sign.
Yeah, I think that's why it's like a good idea. Is they announce it now when they're just crazy hyped with stuff.
Yep.
And everybody, all eyes are on Nintendo right now.
And that's a week after the Player 2 stuff comes out, right?
Yeah.
The 21st is when all that stuff. So we're going to be hitting stores for a while. Like every other day, we're going back to the store buying stuff.
It feels like that now. It feels like I'm constantly going to the game store. I'm constantly like just buying stuff from Nintendo. It's amazing to me how everybody, and I even got to that point myself, I'll be honest with you, is I felt like they're done, they're over after the Wii U. Like, they can't bounce back. Nothing they do is right. It doesn't matter. The fans just attacked everything they did. And I was like, they can't get it. They can't get their groove back. They're just falling apart. And it was like, since, other than the one little hiccup at the Switch announcement, the live one in Japan, from the minute they announced that first teaser, they just been strutting, man. It's like non-stop crushing it, and it's like crazy. Even their directs, they're just quick, snappy. They come done a crazy 15-minute, 20-minute indie sizzle reel. Essentially, is what it is. Everybody's flipping out about it, and it's like they cannot do any wrong right now. And I'm really excited for E3 to see what they're gonna pull off and do.
That's when they can do wrong.
Yeah, that's when
everybody will remember.
Because they've already said they're not going.
Real kick back in.
They're already not going to the stage, so that kind of bodes well.
Do we know that?
Yeah, they
announced it.
Yeah, they're not going to the stage this year. So, so that makes it where it's like they're going back to what worked for them, in 2014 and 2015 and all that stuff. So
and just a massive presence otherwise.
Yeah.
Like they're not
huge.
But just a huge setup on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, their floor setup is identical to what they had last year, and it's a big spot. Yeah. We went there last year, and obviously everything was set up for Zelda, and that presentation was unlike anything I've ever seen. It was like going to a theme park. Yeah. So knowing that they're going to have like that gigantic space for everything else, I'm not concerned at all for Nintendo at E3. I think Nintendo is going to be the company to beat this year at E3. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, it's theirs to lose almost.
That's crazy for me to even hear.
I know.
That is so opposite. It's so polar opposite what we've been used to. That gets me so tickled. Like I think my nipples are a little hard right now, Bobby. I feel safe sharing that, but just you. Don't tell anybody else.
Okay.
I feel that too. I get that.
It might be because I'm in Canada and it's freezing.
I love it because Happily Candied's like probably right outside the door. She's like hearing this, like, what the heck is going on in this podcast?
Just the one thing she hears.
She's like,
I'm Nintendo podcast.
She comes storming in. Jason, get off the computer and get back in the other room now. You're done.
No, she'd be okay with this, I think.
So we're all in agreement we would launch it. Price point, you guys are good with the price point, or do you think it's too high, too low?
It's fair.
Yeah.
So you were sitting at what, $79.99 for the 2DS?
Yeah.
Which was, in my opinion, it was very cheap. So they lowered it from, I remember they ended up doing the price drop on that. Yeah. I think it's fair. I think it's got the really nice big screens. I'm curious to see if they're going to be the IPS screens or not, like the brighter ones. Mm-hmm. It has everything built in that I think you could want out of a console, and it's $50 like less than the standard price point on a new 3DS XL. So I think it's fair for sure.
Yeah. Time wise, are you okay with when it's launching? That's the next question. Like, do you agree with how would you have pushed it back? Would we push it back further or sooner, or is that right where it should be?
You have Australia and you have, I think it might be Europe, or Australia and Japan are getting it a month earlier. They're getting it in June.
Okay.
So I'm jealous already at that. So I'm not saying let's stretch it out. June, we already have ARMS coming out. July, we have Splatoon coming out. So I don't know if there's really a good time to launch this. I'm perfectly fine where it is in July. Yeah. I wish it was coming out in June with Japan, because I'm just going to be more tempted to import one before I need to, just to get my hands on it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine with the time frame. I think Christmas is going to be packed for Nintendo to begin with. My prediction is going to be, we know we have Mario. Mm-hmm. My prediction is we're going to see another Smash Brothers coming out by the end of the year too, or a remaster. So I think Nintendo's going to have their hands like completely full by holiday anyway.
Possibly. How about you?
And they want to sell Switches on the holiday anyway. They don't want to sell 3DS.
Yeah. Same mindset, Sean?
Same thing, and I think that there's a lot of margin in this for them as well. The price point is low enough for people to buy it and just kind of not really think too much about it. But I think that they've been making these parts forever. I think this is way cheaper to assemble than what they're charging. So that's great for Nintendo. As if we ran Nintendo, we'd be very happy with this. I expect there to be some sort of Pokemon edition as well. Like hopefully there's like a third version of Sun and Moon that comes to Switch, but I think it's even more likely to come to 3DS. So that will probably time, like, I think Nintendo's going to have a massive year. So from that perspective, the timing is perfect. It also gives everybody this nice gives us this launch period of time to burst, and then kind of I think it'll settle a little bit as we head into fall. So if we look at that kind of like roller coaster, that trend, this kind of sits in maybe a little bit of a lull. If there's going to be one for Switch, that's really the spot for it. And then we push through fall, and then you just kind of have the Switch and the 2DS and kind of Nintendo with all of these new Amiibo and all the additional shelf space at retail. I think that's another thing that's really important with this is Lego Dimensions, Skylanders. They're all and Disney Infinity, they're all going away. And so retailers have all this space that they've had dedicated to all these different toys to life. And Nintendo's like, we got something for you guys to sell. Yeah. Well, and retailers need it big time. They want to push product. And Nintendo will happily be there for them. So I think this is a great time for it.
The crazy thing is Nintendo had the big area, and then it shrunk as all these other ones started coming.
And it was a joke, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, yeah, they give them their couple of shells. They give them a little bit of space. But, man, Skylanders is dominating this area. Now,
now Nintendo's starting to expand again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the mindset, you guys. I totally agree with what you're saying. The one thing I want to touch on, though, Shauna, you made it a quick point to of like it's got to be cheaper to manufacture this and all this because they've been doing it for years. The one thing, they're not paying on the patent on the 3D anymore, and that's more money in their pocket because essentially they didn't own that tech. They were paying a company to produce it. Well, they paid for the patent in order to do it, and they can do away with that now, and they can make it and flow with it. I think it's a solid move, honestly. I agree.
If anything, it seems like this should have come a long time ago. This almost should have been the original 2DS. The form factor, this seems like the ultimate edition of the 3D. This is something that I think a lot of us would have wanted, except maybe Jason because he likes playing in 3D. But this is the one. Yeah. So maybe from that perspective, maybe it does feel a little bit late, but otherwise, this is good timing for them to have something for people to spend their money on.
I feel like if you would have, let's say, released this when the 2DS first came out in replacement, it would cause way too much confusion. They wanted people to spend the premium on the 3DS, and they wanted to at least bring the people in that couldn't afford it or had small kids to get the 2DS. I totally get making them look completely different. I think if they would have thrown this on the shelf, okay, new Nintendo, because number one, the name is terrible. The name's horrible. The name is terrible. Yeah. The new Nintendo 2DS XL. I can't stand that. Yeah. But besides that, if they would have put that on the shelf next to the new Nintendo 3DS XL, I think it would have caused way too much confusion at that point. So I think now we're beyond it. The Switch is out, so they don't really, I don't think, care as much. I think we're going to see a complete rollback of the 3DS. I think we're going to get to a point very soon where the new 3DS XL is not going to be on shelves at all anymore. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to happen by the end of the year.
And the crazy thing is, if you remember, when the 3DS, the new 3DS launched, we only got the XL in the United States. We didn't get the smaller one, and we all freaked out. And Reggie's like, "You guys don't buy them. What are you talking about? You always buy the bigger ones. Now you want the little one?" And he's like, "But I bought the big one when it first came out, and then I went back to the smaller one because of faceplates. So that's the curiosity too I have is will they mess with faceplates at all with it? Well, it's an XL, so no. If they were to do a smaller version.
But could they do a new 2DS, just regular? Because the original 2DS wasn't the new branded as new. It didn't have the built-in Amiibo stuff. Oh, there's room for if there's fill in the blanks for products that they have to make. That's kind of the last remaining one. Yeah, they totally could, Bobby.
That's true. I think
prepare yourself.
Don't get me started. Okay, so to wrap it up, yes, we would do the new 2DS, yes, the price would probably stay the same, and yes, the time frame is good. I think it's a good move all across the board. We all agree that it's a good move across the board. The knee-jerk reaction from the internet is always going to be like, what are you doing? That's stupid. And then, once people that, the vocal minority on the internet kind of go away, you start to see that it's a good thing. Nintendo has idiots like us that'll buy them all up, so it's good.
There you go.
So last topic. If we ran Nintendo with the end of the NES Classic, is there any alternative solutions that you would create to appease those that missed? This one, and the reason why I came from, I was listening to the Nintendo Dads podcast, and Zac Erickson, he referenced the idea of a Switch cartridge with the NES Classics games all bundled into one. You pay the $60 and it's all there. Yep. And then with the SNES Classic coming up behind it, I want to twofold all this. Would you do the same thing with the NES Classic or with the SNES Classic? Would you, what will we do moving forward with all of this? Do you like the idea of a cartridge, or do you think it's just kind of a waste and we shouldn't go that route? Sean, I'll kick it to you this time.
I'm a digital kind of guy, especially on the Switch, but everybody around me keeps proving me that physical seems to matter. I think that Nintendo is in this strange place where it's against the trends. We're seeing digital outsell physical like almost 3-1. I think we were seeing just a new report, but I think Nintendo's outside of that. Mm-hmm. So a cart does make sense. I think that I would take this in a different way, actually. Mm-hmm. Just knowing that Nintendo's back catalog is so expansive and pulls on so much nostalgia, I would like to attach a better revenue stream to that catalog, sort of like the Virtual Console does. But I want to adopt the Game Pass situation that Xbox has going on. You could pay whatever it is, $5-10 a month, and then just have access to a Netflix style of these old games. And it could be 30 games at a time, and maybe it's a rotating cast of games, so you're not overwhelmed and that there's always something new to be excited about. To me, that makes more sense. It seems easier to implement and is actually different enough from the this idea of a cart seems like an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, like the NES Classic was great, but man, we're really sorry, and like here you go. I don't know if it feels as special. Like it's just a collection of games. So it needs to be, we need to take the idea and kind of like ramp it up a little bit, and then also attach a recurring revenue stream to it. So that's where I'm at with it. I don't think that a cart or a single bundle is particularly exciting. I don't know that even does what the NES did. So I don't know that you can replace that. The one thing I did like about the NES Classic is the presentation of it, the way that you were kind of like flipping through. So that's what I want to kind of replicate on a streaming service, just to have that nice, pick one of the games and then jump in, but you don't have to dedicate like a whole cart to it. And you can always flip out games to have something more exciting at some time. I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
One of the reasons, and I'm happy you mentioned that, one of the reasons I think they announced the new Nintendo 2DS XL, I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see a Netflix-style service, and I think it's going to be unified between 2DS, 3DS, and Switch. So imagine for $10 a month, you get access on your 3DS XL or new 2DS XL to NES and a Super NES back catalog, and that would also work on the Switch. So $10 a month, you get it on both. $15 to $20 a month, you throw in N64, and you throw in GameCube.
It's like
then you have access to all of that. So I mean, obviously the 2DS and the 3DS can't play N64 and GameCube, but they would still have access to that back catalog. I have thought this was coming for some time, because I know every single Switch owner would do it. Almost. I know practically at least all of my friends would do it in a heartbeat. But it has to be unified. We have to stop double dipping between. I own 3 copies of Earthbound right now. And anytime it comes on a new system, I have to buy it again. So it's getting kind of to the point where I would prefer to just have a monthly debit taken out of my account, and I have access to everything. And once I stop paying, it's gone. And if Nintendo adopted that system, and if they're selling as many Switch consoles as they think they're going to, and they already have so many 3DSs in people's hands, they're golden. They won the console wars. So that's my thought on it. Regarding the physical nature of the NES Classic Edition, I love it to death. It's sitting on my desk right now. When the Super Nintendo one comes out, it's going to sit right next to it. If they adopted a cart, it wouldn't have that same appeal, and I don't think it would have the same kind of like just mass like rush to go out and get it.
Yeah.
And you said, Sean, that you're more of a digital guy. I'm the complete opposite. I am 100% physical. I absolutely love having the game, the carts. I like having the case, the displays, like the whole shelf full of games. So for me, that just wouldn't work. But the Netflix model, I think, is an absolutely brilliant idea, and I think it's going to happen.
So now I'm going to throw a wrinkle at you guys.
What
if we did a whole bundle thing, right? Joy-Cons that are NES.
I just wrote that down. Yes.
Right? Yes. So you get special edition Joy-Cons that is a D-pad on the left, red buttons, B and A on the right, and then it comes bundled in with kind of like what they did with snipper clips.
That's how you do physical.
I would buy that in a heartbeat. And I own the NES Classic. Jason's right here on my desk as well. Like, I love it. I think it's awesome. And when the Super Nintendo one comes, I'll have that as well. But that would be the way for them to get me to buy it on Switch. In some type of form factor to go that way, is to give me Joy-Con, and I've been clamoring for this for a while. Like, I would buy Joy-Cons that were specific to each console, like a virtual console Joy-Cons. Like, if they did NES, Super Nintendo, and all that stuff, I'd buy them up in a heartbeat. But that would be the way to get me to jump on board to double dip again and go back in to have it. I think the issue for me is this. I agree with what you guys are saying. I would love like a Netflix style. If they don't, and they continue down the road that they've always done with you have to rebuy everything again, I'm not buying all these games again. I will not buy them. I will buy new games that I don't have. I will not go back in and buy all those games. Unless they start pricing it reasonably like the NES Classic. Because $2 a game, that was a no-brainer. That was an easy sell for me. You know what I mean? The $5 for an NES game, it's like, holy crap, dude! I bought Mario like a million times, like and that's obviously exaggeration, but I probably, in all honesty, I've probably bought the thing 20, 30 times throughout the course of my life, you know, and it's like, that's insanity to think that like you're consistently doing that. Like, okay, we need to move forward. You got to start thinking consumer friendly in those mindsets. So that's where I think like we could venture that way. I love the Netflix style, like you guys are saying, like that would be awesome. Charge me $5, $10, whatever, you know, and just bundle it into the whole thing they're doing, you know, the whole internet package. Like, hey, look, it's $20 a month for the internet. Tack on another $5, you get this virtual console stuff. Another $10, $15, you get now this virtual. Like, I would all day, I'd be all in for that. That'd be awesome. I would love that in you know. I think it would be the best way to sell their internet package, honestly, because you're going to wrap people in. You're going to rope people in all day long, because that's the thing. Like, everybody's clamoring right now, where's the virtual console? What do we do with the virtual console? That's the best way to get them all in, I think, for your internet program. Real quick, with the SNES Classic coming in, though, where do you guys feel the sweet spot is for games? Because I feel like the NES Classic was lowball on games. I think they should have went more than they did. 30 was great, but they could have put some more in, I feel.
They had the space.
Oh, absolutely.
Hackers everywhere found out.
yeah, that's true.
700 plus games on there.
Oh, God. So, would you, with the SNES Classic, basing it on, and we're going to base it on reality, we're not going to say, like, the entire library, but the NES was 30. Do you think Do you think we should go 30 again, or should it be less, or maybe a little bit more, or where would you guys like to see it go?
I would go 30. Oh, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the same thing. I think as a fan, it's easy to go like, give me everything.
Yeah.
But I think there's an aspect to it where like, what's reasonable in terms of how much of the content are we actually gonna get through? Like, even 30 games. Has anybody played all 30 games like to a degree that they're like that they would play any individual game if they bought it on their own. Like, I don't think so. I think of the 30, you pick a couple and you kind of play the crap out of each one of those. And I think the same with Super Nintendo. And from a business perspective, I don't think that it actually behooves Nintendo to put any more than 30 in because of their virtual console business. You don't want to give too many of these games away for such a low price. You want to give people just a little bit of a taste, remind them that Super Nintendo was the greatest console ever made, and then where can you get more? It's virtual console, and by the way, they're $8 a piece.
Yeah, and but the other
I'm
thing,
on the same page.
Go ahead.
I'm totally. I have a buddy who hacked his, and he had just 706 games on there. And we're going through all the folders, and it's just I'm like, just load up Mario 3.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to go through 700 games at this point. Just give me the top 30.
Does it have pixel perfect mode for all those?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, that's insanity. So then
the process was absolutely insane, like how easy it is to. I'm not going to tell you folks how to do it, but it's
just go. You can find on the internet.
Not an endorsement, just a retweet.
No, you can figure it out on your own.
It's out there. I mean, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, for all you people who have one, it's super easy.
Yeah. Sean doesn't have one.
You know, the cord is really the reason that I didn't like kill myself to go get one. The fact that the thing was like 2 feet long was such a joke to me. Like it actually, it's insulting. Bobby.
I agree. Well, look at full story. I didn't use the thing. I only used the controller. I hooked it to a Wiimote, and I was playing my virtual console games on the Wii, and then. Because I had to replace, I had a little 35-inch TV that my wife used to play video games because she really wasn't playing that much down here. And then tax season, I bought a 50-inch, so we have two 50s now, side by side. So I was like, well, I'll put the 30 on my desk, and then I hooked the NES Classic right here, and it's right on my desk. I can play. To me, that was the best way. If I didn't have that set up, it would still be sitting in the box. Because that cord, I was like, I'm not dragging the thing, like, I have a 10-15 foot HDMI and then have it on the chair next to me, and it's just I didn't like the way it was set up. So right now it's ideal for me, but the way when it first launched, I wasn't happy with it. Pricing, where do you think this should come in at? Because obviously we're talking about different games, and when you're basing it based upon like, well, the virtual console for the NES was $5 a games, and now they charge $2 for these. We don't know the library that's coming, you know what I mean? But, like, would you go the same price? 80, 100? Where do you think is a reasonable number to ask people to come in at?
I think if they were sitting side by side, it would make sense for this to sit at 80 and for the NES to be 60. But since the NES has come and gone, I think you re-enter the market with a new similar product that is the exact same price. I think $60 is something that is part of the reason it was flying off shelves. And in terms of like manufacturing, like this is not a huge endeavor for Nintendo. So I think $60 is fair. But I don't know. Like I guess I could see the reasoning for bumping it up a little bit. Like it definitely makes sense. I think people would be accepting of that.
Jason, what do you think?
I'm in the same place. I want to say 60.
We are just I know totally.
I want to say 60 is the perfect price point, but I mean they flew off the shelves at that price, and people were willing to pay $300 for them. So I wouldn't be shocked if they bumped up the price on it. But I think 60. I think it has to stay at 60. I think if you go up too high, you're gonna get savvy Nintendo fans who are like, I'll just get an emulator. Or you saw people like making Raspberry Pis for cheaper than what it costs to actually produce one of these. So I think 60 is where it's going to need to stay.
And then last thing, would you? Obviously, they're going to. I would think they're going to try to make this one hacker proof if they can. Because part of my feeling is that's probably why they pulled it off the shelf. Because Nintendo's big on that, where they hate that stuff. They're looking at it as like potential lost money because they could have put out a second version or whatever. Obviously, people said. Or Nintendo said at least it's not expandable, but come on, that wasn't true. And
they don't make chips small enough to limit it to 30 games.
Exactly.
Like that just doesn't exist.
So my question is would we make the Super Nintendo version expandable to later go back and revisit the well, or would we just say that's 30, that's it, wash our hands of it and walk away?
I always wanted, like when the NES Classic was announced and we had just the bare bones details about it, there was a rumor that it would connect to the internet. And I immediately jumped on the idea that this should tie into your like Nintendo account, your eShop account, and you can start to buy like virtual console games to expand it that way. I think that makes sense from a fan perspective because that's awesome. Like the fact that you can have choice and add on from there. It makes sense from a business perspective too, because that is like the perfect gateway drug. Yeah. That's the lowest cost to get into Nintendo's ecosystem. You can start spending money left, right, and center in this giant virtual store, and then you go, you know what, man, I am really loving this Nintendo stuff, and I know they've got this Switch over here, and that's how. Like for people like us, we're just buying everything automatically. But for other people, there's a bit of a gap that consumers have to jump from not making a decision to actually like spending $400 on something. And sometimes you gotta have to toe the line a little bit. You gotta drag the customer along a little bit of a journey. And this was such a, to me, not having Virtual Console tied into the NES Classic was such a massive missed opportunity. And it's baked into everything else that they do. I think they absolutely have to. And I think that building in some sort of Wi-Fi sensor or Wi-Fi card into this thing could justify the price going up to $80, and then you're in it for the long haul. To me,
and I like what you said there, because think about it. The beauty of the Switch is I can take all that stuff on the go. So if I don't own a Switch at the moment and I go, I'm going to buy this thing, I'm going to buy this SNES Classic, and then I go, oh wait a minute, what's this? What's Virtual Console? And I start to dig in a little bit and go, oh, wait a minute. I can actually buy things and take it on the go.
Yep.
It might
especially if the ones that come with it are like, if you buy it and you activate it with your My Nintendo account, and those 30 games are now part of your catalog of Virtual Console games that you own, you can play them on this Super Nintendo Classic, or you can take them with you on the Switch. That's the way to do it, to me.
Yeah, I agree.
If I ran Nintendo.
Yes. Jason, I'm assuming you're on the same page.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Oh, you ruined it. You ruined it.
Friends off.
I think I agree to a point where 30 games it's a very expensive advertisement for the Switch. Yeah. And I think that's what Nintendo was trying to do with the NES Classic as well. It's a very expensive advertisement towards the Wii U and the 3DS Virtual Console. But I honestly think by the time E3 rolls around, we're going to have a dedicated Virtual Console on the Switch. I'm hoping it's going to be a Netflix style. If you throw 30 games at somebody and say, relive your childhood right here, maybe throw like a little advertisement like somewhere on the SNES Classic that says, get even more games, on the Switch. I think that's plenty. I think if you give people too much freedom to like say, I'm going to upgrade this game library from like 30 and I can get like 100 or 200 additional games, I can download them on here via a Virtual Console on there, they'll be less inclined to go over to the Switch and get one themselves. Yeah. I think the 30 games on its own are enough to say, oh my God, I remember this. I have kids now, and I want them to remember this too. So I'm going to go out and buy the Switch, or I'm going to go out and buy the new 2DS XL. So I think this has always been like an advertising motive for them. Yeah. And I think it's one of the reasons why Reggie announced like we're pulling this back. I mean, in the interview he did with Time Magazine, he said, this was the past. We are now looking towards the future. Yeah. If we keep this one out there, people are going to be less inclined to play Virtual Console on what we want them to play it on, and that's the Switch or the 3DS. So if they do the Super Nintendo Mini, if this is legit, which I think it is, I think it's going to be very similar. It's going to be a limited run, and it's going to be a way to just get people that one extra taste. Yeah,
I agree. He just he talks, and I just fall in love, man, because he's pretty wise. I'm telling you.
I want to point out that on my podcast, my predictions are nearly 100% wrong.
So is ours.
Yeah,
we do this thing. We talk about this. We do this thing where we create this bubble and all this stuff, like I did with the Joy-Cons and stuff, right? And I get my head all, and then when we shut the show down, I'm like, that's not happening. Why did I say that? Like, it's never going to happen. And like, I'll sit there and like, we did that in the very beginning. Like, what did we do the one time? We created like, what will we do? Will we announce at E3 or something like that? One time.
E3 was the biggest thing, and we created this big show.
This big show and like all this stuff, and like literally 3 days later, Nintendo, like we launched the Switch before when it was the NX at E3 and also 3 days later, Nintendo was like, we are not talking about the Switch or the NX until fall, and I was like, Sean, we just wasted an hour talking about this. I'm like, wow. It's like every time we say something, like a couple days later, Nintendo's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go this way. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to us. iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Check us out on WeTheNerdy.com. That'll make more sense next week. A really good website. Thank you, Andrew, for all the support and all that stuff you guys give us over there. Jason. Dude, thank you so much for doing this.
It was a blast.
It was a pleasure, seriously. Let everybody know where can they find you and all that good stuff, and like they don't already know, but still, let them know.
I'll make it quick.
Okay.
So our website is nintendowire.com. We have reviews, previews, news. We have so much stuff over there. We have a YouTube channel that's under My Amiibo News still because YouTube won't let us swap it. But if you search for Nintendo Wire, you can find us on YouTube. Our Twitter accounts are at Amiibo News, at NinWire, at PlayStation Wire, at Wire Deals. So you can find us there. We're on Facebook as well. Again, you can search for Nintendo Wire on Facebook, and you can find our Facebook presence there. But that's where you can find me. My personal account is at Amiibo Jason on Twitter. For the most part, I've been a little quiet on there because I just got done with a move. So we're getting everything set up. So there's going to be a lot more pictures and like personal thoughts there too.
Sean, you're on Twitter.
I don't have any of that, Bobby.
Well, no, I know. Neither of us do. We're like, you know. You can follow Sean on Twitter, Sean Capri. Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. You can follow me at Nintendo Gurus. The show is at If we ran into, why do I want to keep saying We the Gamercast? Why? I don't know why.
I take it as a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment.
That's Sean's other show. Go check that out. We the Gamercast. Oh yeah, man, this is a mess.
That is all, Bobby.
That is all. See you later.
Bye.